It's the end of the month, and that means it's time for the rundown. Hey everyone, welcome to the rundown for October 2020. In this month's rundown, we have Ireland back in lockdown, the Irish government votes to cover up the Taum Scandal again, and Jack Dorsey, Twitter CEO, questioned by the US Senate. So let's get into it. So first up, Ireland is back in lockdown. In the middle of the month, the Irish government made the decision to put Ireland back into lockdown to prevent the further spread of the coronavirus. Now, some have praised the move, believing that the increased cases made it a necessary step to take to curtail the spread. Others, many in the retail industry, have criticised the move as making it impossible for business and the economy to run in any way, shape or form. My thought is that this new lockdown is unnecessary. Now, the reason I believe that is because they weren't really enforcing the level 3 restrictions that they put in place a couple of weeks previously. So, and if they had, I do believe that this would have been avoided. However, I do question the emergency team's conclusion, because what a lot of people don't realise is that Tony Holohan, who was leader of NPHET, left. He's just recently come back, and when he came back, he immediately recommended level 5 restrictions for the entire country. Now the government, which were, how can I say, surprised by this recommendation, said no, we're not going to. Then 2 weeks later, after the number of cases had risen, they went, okay, we need to go into full lockdown again. However, the previous leader of NPHET, Ronan Glynn, was recommending level 2 for the entire country and level 3 for some counties. A lot of people are going, hang on, how could they go from level 2 for everywhere except level 3 for some counties? How can they go from that to straight to level 5 everywhere just because one man rejoins the team? And that kind of told me that the numbers that they're seeing are a lot more open to interpretation than they've been letting on. They've been letting on that the numbers are definite and they tell us exactly what we need to do. But judging by their actions, doesn't seem like that. Next up, the government votes to deny access to records regarding the Taum Scandal. Now, I actually don't know the details of this scandal, but it was, as far as I'm aware, a huge number of babies that were put in mass graves. Although I'm probably wrong on that, so don't quote me on that. However, it was covered up by the Irish government at the time. And the Irish government has actually voted to deny access to any other group to the files and information regarding it. Now, individual family members can request access to the information regarding the particular members who were involved, because it's personal information. They have perfect legal access to it. However, the reason why they voted was to prevent an investigation from being opened up in this. And if an investigation was opened up, they wouldn't be able to gain access to those files, which meant that they'd have pretty much no evidence to go on. Now, needless to say, social media went crazy with this decision, and I actually don't blame them. I don't, and people are angry, and I'm with them. It was quite a bad scandal, and we should know what happened. And the fact they're doing everything in their power to kind of make sure we don't know what happened kind of tells you this government ain't flecking clean. Because a lot of people kind of knew that already. I think the problem is they were so willing to cover it up, and they were so willing to be publicly shown to cover it up, because that's what this is. Hopefully someday justice is done. To be honest, I am going to research this a bit more and make a full proper video on it, because it warrants it. But this is just, the reason I'm putting it here is because it's just an update on the whole situation. Sad, really. And last but no means least, Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey is questioned by the US Senate. This was an interesting one. There were a lot of big moments, I will say. Plus, I don't think Jack Dorsey really has a clue what's going on in his own company, if he's telling the truth. Which is kind of highly unlikely, I will say. One statement that he made that's kind of gone viral was the statement that Twitter, as a whole, doesn't really influence elections. Yeah, right. Keep leaving that, mate. Of course, it has an effect on elections. I think it's kind of shown with the whole Hunter Biden emails, and that was actually brought up with this as well. He was asked, why was the New York Post story on the Hunter Biden emails censored? Because that's what it was. The New York Post was suspended. They can't post anything on their account, so they can't post their own story. And also, people are not allowed to share the story on their accounts or in their own personal DMs. Now that is actually scaring me, because that means that Twitter can see everyone's direct messages. So, yeah, of course there's no privacy there. And I'm pretty sure that if it wasn't Jack Dorsey, it was someone else at Twitter that said that they didn't have access to people's direct messages. How are we able to stop people from sharing something in direct messages if you aren't able to see that they're sharing it? Because I think one of the biggest things on that was his explanation wasn't very good. His explanation was that the rule that allowed them to censor that story was rules regarding hacked information. Jack, look, I know you're not that stupid to believe that. The reason I know that that's BS. How about the New York Times Trump tax returns? That was hacked information, and that wasn't censored. And plus, besides, the Hunter Biden emails weren't actually hacked. It was actually on a laptop that Hunter Biden left at a repair store and never collected, which was then turned over to Rudy Giuliani and the FBI. So it's not hacked. And also, everything they've seen so far has been confirmed is not Russian disinformation, as the Democrats have been saying. So why censor the Hunter Biden email story and not the Trump tax return story? So what do you guys think? Share your thoughts on these stories with me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. October was a very interesting month politically, I will say. Not just here in Ireland, but especially over in the States, which I've been covering pretty much all month. Because it's the election, of course. Who do I think will win? I do think Trump will. The Democrats don't have anyone near the lead they have at this point in time than they had in 2016, and we do know Trump voters vote en masse on election day, which is on November 3rd. I will be doing a kind of response to election day video on the 4th, and I do hope to do a results video on the day the results are released. Whenever that day is, we don't know that because the Democrats have pushed mail-in ballots, which will hamper things. I will say though, a lot of mail-in ballots will get lost, so a lot of Democrat voters will be disenfranchised because the US Postal Service is crap, and I've actually talked about that in my mail-in ballots being such a bad idea video. I will say this, Democrats, if the mail-in ballots screw you in this election, which if they could, you're the guys to blame. You're the ones who pushed for it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.